hello.
Hello, how are you?
I'm doing all right now. Now that I've got this thing recording, how you been? You doing all right?
I am doing just as well as when you asked me 20 minutes ago before you realized you weren't
Don't
recording.
tell anybody, man. You're spoiling the magic. I had this whole nautical thing going, we be talking about the sea tonight. But no, no, no. I can't do all that now because it's not fresh. So here we are. Once again, welcome back to those of you watching after the fact. Peter, hello. Good to see you. Good to talk to you. We have returned to our Caesarian Civil War with scenario 313 tonight, the Brindisi raid. This looks like it's going to be a fun one, and there's not a lot of historical information about this, so I'm going to give you the 5 to 6 minute quick capsule review of this. The story so far, we are now in the thick of the, one might even say, past the halfway point of the Caesarian Civil War. It's been going on for a few years now. We've seen Caesar march on Rome. We've seen Pompey flee to Epirus, where much of this is going to take place around the Adriatic tonight. We've seen Caesar go to Hispania, take on Pompey's leaderless forces there, and then we've seen Curio's adventures in North Africa against the Numidians and Varus. So we've seen lots of different fronts. Now Caesar has raced back while Curio is in North Africa. We've seen Caesar heading back to Italy with eyes on taking the battle directly to Pompey. And he returns once again to the port city of Brundisium, which is, another term for Brindisi, depending on if you're talking about it in the Latin. But we have seen this seaport before. It was quite important when Pompey was exiting Rome and taking his forces and trying to build a force to take with him to Greece. He actually exited the Italian peninsula through Brindisium. So we've seen that. Caesar actually laid siege to that city, tried to wall in the seaport. Pompey managed to fight his way out with his fleets and get his forces, for the most part, over to Epirus. We are now in January of 48 BC, and this is wintry time, and the Mediterranean and the Adriatic are particularly rough, choppy, not great for boating, pleasure craft, or military fleets. And that's where we lay our story here tonight. Once again, during this point, Pompey has amassed a huge fleet. It is easy to say, with quite satisfaction, they have naval superiority on the Adriatic. But because it is wintertime, the conventional wisdom is you do not venture far from the coast. So they have managed to secure the Macedonian and the Greek side of the Adriatic, the eastern edge. While Pompey is amassing his forces there, he knows, he gets word that Caesar is coming, and Caesar has an advantage because he spent many years as Pontifex Maximus of Rome, which is the highest religious authority in the Roman Republic. And he had access to astronomical data and calendrical data, and he knew that there was a mismatch. There was a bit of a gap between the seasonal observations along the astronomical calendar and what they were following on paper. And I think this will eventually is what leads us to the Julian date system conversion. So he knew that he had a small bit of wiggle room there that he could get his forces across the Adriatic without all of that seasonal problem of naval travel. And it's either because it was earlier than expected or later than expected, but he knew he could get his forces over to Greece without the difficulty that one would expect. So he loads up 7 of his legions and crosses the Adriatic. Pompey has put in charge of his naval forces a man by the name of Marcus Calpurnius Bibulus. He is a seasoned, he's been a consul before, he's from the eastern part of the Republic, and he's come back and volunteered, he threw in with Pompey, and he's in charge of this massive flotilla. But what they do is they resign themselves to just patrolling and knowing that Caesar is coming, they are solely going to try to intercept his fleet as it's coming across the Adriatic. And he almost does it. He just misses it. He gets the information a little too late, and Caesar manages to thread the needle and get his forces onto land in Epirus. And by the time Bibulus lays chase with his fleet, all they can do is they're already on their way back to pick up more legions. Really, all they do is capture a few transports and they manage to burn them. I think they said about 30 of them, but it was of no real consequence to to Caesar at that time. Back on the Italian peninsula at the port is Mark Antony, and he is left in charge of trying to get the last of the forces and the cavalry and everybody and bring them into the city and get them onto the transports once they return and have them come over and join Caesar. And this is where Pompey hatches his scheme. During the time, Labienus falls ill and dies later in the winter time of 48, and so he now puts a new person in charge of the fleet, and that is Lucius Scribonius Libo. And they hatch a scheme to slow down Caesar by, rather than trying to take on his forces directly, they're going to go over and try to prevent the transports from being able to bring more over. In addition, they're also doing a blockade of all these Italian ports to prevent grain and other foodstuffs from coming over to support Caesar once he gets into Greece. So that leads us to what we're doing here tonight. This is the Brindisi raid, and Libo's forces, he took about 50 ships, along with very well-trained veteran Marines. And Pompey sent them to Brindisi to land, attack the city, and try to burn as much of the fleet. And that is exactly what we've got going on here. Mark Antony and his forces are just outside the city in camp. Libo's forces have arrived, and their purpose is to break into the city, burn the forces, or burn the ships, and then get back out of there unmolested. As we've seen in history time and time again, best laid plans, it was a horrible failure. Mark Antony did manage to get his forces to interrupt their plans. So some ships were burned, but not enough to really matter. Libo's forces were vanquished from this attempt. And the biggest problem for Pompey was these were, again, very seasoned veterans. So he lost some of his most experienced fighters in what turned out to be a fool's errand. I mean, it worked a little bit, but not nearly enough to make a difference. So they retreat back and join Pompey's forces. And Mark Antony, his timetable was not interrupted at all for the most part. And they eventually do get on the ships, come over and join Caesar, and then that will lead us to the more direct battles to come between Pompey and Caesar. So that is our setup tonight. I know we got some interesting special rules for this, so why don't you tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah, as you can see, we have a new block tonight. That's just a representation here in Vassal. If we were playing the physical game, they would just be blank blocks or spare blocks to represent the transport ships. There are four of the Caesarian forces inside Brindisi, which is represented by the ramparts. And then there are the Pompeian transport ships that land Libo's forces, represented by those 4 gray blocks. So, special rules. We are playing to 6 banners tonight. The Pompeian army is going to have 5 command cards, and they're going to go first. The Caesarian army is only going to start with 2 command cards in their hand. Perhaps this is representing the fact that they're being caught unawares and raided. So on turn 1, after the Caesarian player plays 1 card, they'll draw 2 cards. On turn 2, they'll play 1 card and draw 2 cards, and do so until they have a hand of 5 cards for the rest of the game. Of course, these are modern Julian forces, so the Julian rule is in effect for both armies. So all those medium troops will have a ranged attack, and they'll also be able to move 2 hexes without fighting. There are ramparts, and even though Brindisi is on the Pompeian side of the map, if the red blocks are forced to flee, they will flee towards the Caesarian edge of the board. The boat hexes, if the Pompeian player occupies a hex with a Caesarian boat, they destroy it and they gain that block as a victory banner, and vice versa. And those banners, once captured, cannot be lost. You'll get that block at the beginning of the turn before you play your command card. So there we go. So it should be interesting. And of course, we have this little line of hills here. So that'll be our special rule for hills, with forces fighting down at 3 dice and fighting up at 2, generally speaking.
generally speaking. And it is unusual, but not unheard of, for us to see this setup where the two generals, or the Caesarian side, are alone in camp. And so that's going to require some movement. And the first thought I had of this when I saw the setup was that is an incredible amount of forces for the Pompeian on their right flank, and only three of them in the center. So if they are bereft of any of those cards early on, getting to go first may not be so helpful. So we will see how this goes. So I will draw up my 5 cards. All right, I have my 5, and you get 2.
Two whole cards with which to start the battle. All right.
Okay, well, good luck to you, sir.
Good luck.
I think.
Interesting tactics are going to have to be employed here. I think on both sides.
I think so.
I think
I'm going to do 2 in the center here. And I'm going to do these 2 here. I'm going to go 1, 2 to there, and 1 to there. So the Auxilia cannot attack because he moved 2. But the medium can attack yours, and they've got nowhere to run to.
But they do have protection of the rampart.
So it's 1 sword and 1 flag, is that correct, as I recall?
Yes, it is.
Okay, so here's 4 dice. And 2 hits.
Get to ignore the flag, thankfully. And then bloody you back.
Yes. Okay. I believe that is all for me. So over to you.
Gonna order 2 on the right. Gonna be those 2. And I've drawn 2 cards for hand of 3.
Okay.
There's a window here if the Pompeian player has the right cards to really squirt in there.
Yeah, and really raid.
Do some damage before the Caesarians can get moving.
So let us do a coordinated attack. And since I have nothing on the left side, it will just be those 2. So they'll go 1, 2 to there, and 1, 2 to there. And that is all.
All right. So if you remain in that hex at the start of your next turn, that boat will be burned.
Correct. All right. So that is all.
Okay. So I have to counterattack and use your card against you. Order those 3 units.
Mark Antony takes to horse.
All right. See if I can't shift you off that boat. Here we go. 2 dice.
Ooh. We be men here, youngins. So here's 3 dice back with 1 hit. Okay, so you're up to 4 cards now?
I am.
All right, so I will capture this first boat. And the raid continues. Do 3 on the left. I only have 1, so he'll go there. And he will battle against these guys. So 3 dice. Would they like to evade?
No.
Actually, I am in the water, so it's only 2.
Yes. Oh, I'm sorry. I did miss.
I missed that
I
too.
did miss that.
Yeah. It's 2 in and out of the like a fordable river. So I missed that last time too. Let's look at the order. If the first 2 leader, and then No, I whiffed as well. So you actually, because the first two were leader medium. So let's go ahead and fix that back. So you should have 4 there. Because we want to do this right. But we appreciate all your comments and corrections down there in the feedback section. So now I will just do 2 out of the water. And I'll get 2 hits.
And I whiff again.
Okay. That is all.
Rough.
So this happens first. So get that second block. I do not have any mounted units, so I will just move one of my choice. And he
Fine choice.
Yes, and he can throw 1 spear at these. Throw some spears on the way out. Oops. So here's 1 die. And he sends them running. That is all.
Outflanked. Those 4. All right. Antony, attack those bowmen with 3 dice. And he's a leader. Ooh,
So
devastating.
So we have to take the 2. So blocked 2 hits, and they fight back for their lives with 2 dice plus leader bonus. Getting nothing.
Well, over here, furiously try to defend their ships. 2 dice against the auxilia. There we go.
So we lose 1 block for being up against the wall. We get 3 back, 2 back, excuse me, 2 dice. Nothing.
And 2 from them.
Another hit.
Another hit.
And 2 back. 1 hit. Okay. So we set another ship alight. And then we'll do 3 on the left. But only 1 matters. And he will attack here. Would they like to do anything?
It's a little waste, but yes, they would.
Okay, good deal.
2 dice.
2 back. 2 hits. You're overwhelming the town guard. Oh, all right, and that is all.
Yeah, can't stop that.
The bludgeon, the cudgel. Here comes.
Going after the bowman first. 3 dice.
That'll do.
So they'll advance, move 1 hex, and go after Lebo himself. 3 dice. Ooh.
It's a 4 back with leader bonus.
Dang.
Unwholesome, Antony.
And your leader check?
Oh yes, of course. 2 dice. Almost.
Okay, these mediums against Lebo. Much better.
3 hits. Hit. Your leader check. Okay, and 4 back with leader. 2 hits, 1 retreat he's got to take.
And I'll target those guys. 4 dice. Nothing.
3 back. 1 hit. So the last of the fleet is burned. And then leadership any section. Alright, so he'll come forward.
Really? I would think you'd have just activated Auxilia, move 1 hex down, and try and take out my 1 block left of lights over there.
So here's 4 dice plus leader bonus. And there it is.
And that works too.
Yep.
A successful raid!
Hooray! The ships are burning, and we get back on ours and sail back to tell Pompey the good news. Yeah, this one, you're right, though. If you get the right cards, and of course, if the Caesarian cannot react in time, they can breach those walls pretty quickly. All right, well, let's take 5 minutes, and we'll come back and play it again, and then we'll discuss it. We are back with round number 2 tonight.
All right, let's see if Lebo can repeat his successful raid here, or if Anthony can motivate his troops in time to save his ships.
And I will draw 2 cards. Okay, well, good luck.
Yeah. Targeting your lights up there on the ramparts.
Yeah. Okay. We'll stand and take it.
4 dice. You get to ignore 1 sword and 1 flag, but not 2 flags.
Okay. So we take the hit, and we take the flag. So we move back 1, and then take a loss, which is probably not a bad thing. We're blocking your avenue there.
Well, that's all right, because this auxilia will follow up and attack the same unit. 3 dice again.
Okay.
A hit? Oh, nope. Get to ignore the hit.
Yes.
So we get to ignore all of that.
Yes, we knew.
And battle back.
2 back. And we send... Nope. We don't send
flag
back.
I will ignore. All right.
We'll do a counterattack on that one. And we will use your line command as well. We will activate those 2. Attack here. So 3 dice. Getting a hit. Oof.
So one of those will go through.
One of those come through. All right. And then 2 dice from up here. Nothing. Ignore them both.
And both of those are ineffective again. I think that's the same thing they rolled the last time.
That's right. We'll send it back to you, and I draw 2 cards.
Double time. Those units. Going to double time.
Do a counterattack on that one. And I will also do a double time.
Three in the center. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3.
We'll order light troops. We'll go there. Okay. So he can throw a single spear back at them. 1 die. Nothing. They can fight down there with 3 dice. Getting a retreat.
Attacking back with 4 and leader support.
2 hits. Okay. And these can fight down here with 2 dice. A hit and a retreat. And that is all.
The only one I'm going to concern myself with. 1. So 1, 2, 1, 2. All right. 4 dice on those lights. What would they like to do?
They will evade.
Well evaded. Lebo going after your auxilia with 4 dice.
Do it double time.
Double time.
The alert has been... Sadly, we cannot engage in range combat. So it just gets them close. We're still going to see one fire burning off in the distance. And I am now up to my full complement of cards.
I'm going to play Spire, right? Leadership. I don't have a leader on the right, so I will choose 1 block or 1 unit. Move them thusly.
Coordinated attack. Those 3. Alright. So do 2 dice there to your Pompeian force. Nothing.
Battling in the raging surf of the Adriatic. I'll respond with 2 dice.
A hit and a retreat. Then they will also follow suit with 2 dice and get nothing. 2 hits. Okay, that's not good. All right.
I'm going to start over here. Throw a spear at those guys as we crest the ramparts. Nope. 3 dice with leader support from the auxilia. Another spear from Lebo's forces. Oh, sadly, the leader die has no effect, even though Lebo is with them. And then following up with those guys, same unit. Ooh, lucky hit.
Indeed.
And I'm done.
All right. I do not have any heavy troops, so I will activate a unit of my choice. be this one. Move to there. Try to battle. 2 dice. Getting a hit.
2 back. Also getting a hit.
Okay.
Three on the left. Got 2 to activate. Two dice with leader support.
Ouch. Okay. Hit. Retreat.
And a spear to follow up. I don't like this one.
Don't like it?
No. Yeah, that's rough for the red player. Unless you have just the right cards, I just don't see how you can pull this off.
Two dice. Nope.
Nothing.
Follow up 2 dice. Ugh. Everyone's still back in camp. So they gotta go back 2. Alright. Yeah, I think you got this one. Because there's nothing I can do. Let's try this one more time. Once more into the breach. I mean, if I can get double flags there on him, that might save my bacon for a moment.
Or 2 blues.
Or 2 blues.
Can do it.
Yeah. So let's start on this end, though. 2 dice. Nothing. Hit and a retreat. 2 dice. Hit and retreat. Look at that! Hey! We're gonna hopefully die. Alright, and then on this one to here, save that last ship. Come on, 2 triangles. Oh! Double hit. And there you go.
Tie game. Good job.
So what that means, though, is that this is heavily skewed to the Pompeians. You know, they just did it 12 blocks to 2. So
I'm not sure what the answer here is.
I don't either. So far, yeah, our final thoughts tonight is a tie game. We each went 6-1, 6-1. So 12-2. So that's plus 10 in favor of the Pompeians. Boy, howdy. It's a neat setup. I mean, it certainly caught my attention. But I think there's just one too many holes in that rampart that, as we have pointed out, both of us have had good fortune on an opening hand as the Pompeians, and you just scoot right through.
Oh, yeah, no. I had all the right cards to just get that, just keep on going.
Yep.
I mean, you saw. I just kept on trucking to the left. And I was even able to get Lebo over there, too.
Yeah.
So, for a little extra add oomph. I mean, honestly, if you want to talk who won this game tonight, I'd give it to you. Because you did it with 2 green units and no leader.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
I clearly you have the high ground there. I had to, break out the heavy troops and take care of business.
I was surprised to see you. I mean, but you had that order medium. And what was neat was when you
had another one too.
Yeah,
so.
when you had the double time, and then I had a counter attack that I had just drawn. Plus, I had my own double time, so I was able to, send up the alarm, send the heavies from Fufius's camp, and I was trying to just get it so that I could get there just in time to respond. But then you got a couple of retreats and pushed them back, and then that right side went completely dry, and everything I have now is left and center. So, uh, or leadership. Now, and this is where folks can chime in, and I will go back and double check that on a situation like this, as we do with the other command cards where it's if you don't have something to meet those qualifications or those prerequisites like a heavy or a medium or whatever, then you can order a unit of your choice. Does that also extend to this, presuming that you can really only select a
Well,
unit
yeah,
of your
but
choice?
yeah, it says or one unit of your choice. I would say even if you have a leader in a section, you still have the option of choosing one unit of your choice.
Right.
Because the card I played was inspired right leadership, and I didn't even have a leader on the right.
Exactly. Well, that's my point. You didn't have you could not fulfill the prerequisite of having a leader on the right. So the or comes in of, oh, this is a card that you can at least move a unit. But I did have a leader in multiple sections, so could I still utilize it with the or capability? So
I would say yes. The rules lawyer in me, says or says yes,
yeah.
you can. It's
Okay.
a choice. You have a choice: either issue a order to 4 units with adjacent leader, or 1 unit of your choice.
Sure. Yeah, and that seems like it's a heavy-handed trade-off, but in an emergency, it might be necessary to just shoot that one unit over there. So yeah, I'd be curious, in the feedback section down there, if folks who have played this for many many years as well, uh, when you play it face to face, how do you interpret it the way Peter's saying, or is it a little more stringent that you can't do it unless you fail to meet the prerequisite? So I'm good with yours. I mean, that's certainly a lot of more flexibility on that, and I'm hoping that was the intent of that card. But for the scenario itself, I mean, I again, I like when we tie. That's certainly fun. But I was hoping to get some blocks back tonight, and I was very excited after the first go round. And then you just wailed in there with those mediums.
I said my piece. I don't like this one.
Okay.
It's pretty. It's yeah. I when I first saw, it, I was like, "Ooh, this could be so cool," but nah, I don't like this at all.
Okay.
It's just too lopsided, too much, too much. I mean, yes, this game is a lot of luck of the draw. This one is way luck of the draw, I think.
Yes, I agree. And you heard it here, folks. He speaks his mind. He don't like it. He don't like it. He tell you he don't like it. So,
No, sir, I don't like it.
no, sir. Well, we hope you've enjoyed it nonetheless. Another week with us, and we love having you along for the ride. So take a moment and click that like and subscribe if you've not done that. We tell you to do that each and every week. And if you've not checked out any of the other content here on Patrick's Tactics, feel free. I've got playlists of all sorts of other organized play for great campaigns of the American Civil War and Combat Commander and lots of good GMT goodness and MMP goodness. So take a gander at that if you are of a mind to. We certainly hope you'll join us again next week for scenario 314, which is going to be Peter's responsibility to do the research on that one. And what is 314? 314 is the big battle of Dyrrhachium. So this is
Thank you for saying that, because
yeah.
I was looking at it and thinking something like diarrheum.
Oh, sir. Yes, Dyrrhachium, I believe, is the. Well, I mean, I'm no scholar, but that seemed right to me. But we will have some Caesar versus Pompey himself. So they finally get to stare at each other across the battlefield in the smoke and chaos and death that is Ancient's battle. So come on back next time for some fun. And Peter, have a great week, sir.
You too. Good night.
All right, good night.